This is Tom Asprey at the MoneyShow.com video network. My special guest today is Larry Williams. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, well, you've been trading for 50 some odd years, and I noticed that you've been giving a series of full day classes on sharing some of the things you've gleaned over those 50 years of trading with new traders. And that's a daunting task. I wonder if you could maybe share with us some of the things that you're trying to get across to the traders to get them on the right path, and maybe some of the takeaway points.
Sure. I think the most significant thing to me in my work is what I'm teaching people now is exactly what I was doing in 1970. So the conditions that cause markets to move are the same. And I think that's really significant. While the markets are different, I don't trade pork bellies anymore because they don't trade anymore. The markets have changed, but it's conditions that move markets. I don't think charts move markets. I think conditions do. And those fundamental conditions are the same now as they were 10 years or 20 or 30 years ago. It's all about conditions, and then bring the technical stuff in on top of when I find a market that's set up to rally or decline.
So by conditions, you mean sort of the combination of fundamental supply and demand, economic, what exactly are you referring to?
Well, those will be part of them. We have developed an index that will allow me to see if a commodity is undervalued or overvalued, absolutely undervalued or overvalued relative to the price of gold. And I would look at something like the Commitment to Trader report, which I pioneered way back in the 60s. Because when the vast majority of commercials, the big financial interest is long or short of market, it's going to have an influence on the market. There's a good example. Mm-hmm. Or right now, the Goldman Sachs rolls forward contracts every month for the long-only funds. There's billions of dollars doing that. Will that have an effect on the market? Of course it will. So a trader better know about that. That's a condition that we need to use to trade the market with.
Yeah, people, you better not the Commitment to Traders, free every week as of the prior Tuesday, and gives you a lot of information. So, maybe you obviously want to be the commercials. You don't want to bet against the commercials. How about the small specs? As you feel pretty strongly that they're generally wrong?
Well, that's a really good question. Sometimes the small specs are wrong, and it depends on the market. Say in the meat markets, there's a lot of small specs that are actually producers, but they don't have enough animals to do 100 contracts or whatever the contract limit is to become a commercial, but they still know the market. Mm-hmm. So small specs in some market are actually pretty astute because they're just not big producers. So you really have to look at the market to determine that, but by and large, small speculators, the public, is unfortunately wrong most of the time.
Yeah, I noticed, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but just a month or so ago when the euro was getting hammered and looked like it was going to go to 125 or something, there was the small specs, I believe, where everybody was, the short side was pretty crowded.
Yeah, what I found is even better. We actually measure at the end of each week the number of advisors, newsletters, brokerage firms that are bullish or bearish on not only futures but also stocks, the most actively traded stocks. And it's a great index. When all the advisors are bullish, sell, it's going to go down. And when they're all really bearish, it's going to rally. And the same thing took place in that market.
Yeah, and in October, I'm sure that was the case.
Everybody's bearish. Yeah. Everybody's like, when the crowd is extreme in their viewpoint, they're most often totally wrong.
Great. Well, I'm sure you'll share some of those tips with traders in your classes, and thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tom.
And thank you for joining us on the MoneyShow.com video network.